Is it possible to be too good too quickly? Are we too good? Probably not. But it's been a pretty sweet couple days. Hear about all of that and more on this episode of View from Outside the Tank. Hey guys, it's Matt. I'm back. It's been a full week. I'm trying to get on this rotation that I've been talking to you about for weeks. Hopefully, this is the start of something special with that. Looking to record on Sundays or Mondays with the hope of posting on Mondays or at the latest Tuesdays. It is Monday night currently, so clearly I'm already procrastinating to the end of that time cycle. But part of it's just I'm still reeling from a pretty fantastic weekend. We went into the weekend pitted against the previous year, so last year's President's Trophy winner, the Winnipeg Jets. They finished last season with the most points in the NHL. And then, if that wasn't lucky enough, got to follow it up the very next day against the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Now, it's a depleted Panthers team. Kachuk's still hurt. Barkov's still hurt. So they weren't throwing out 100% their A team. But going into the weekend, I figured if we could sneak 2 points, I was good with either a win or 2 overtime losses. And man, I'll be damned if we didn't find a way to take all 4 points. Yes, we got Florida's backup goalie in the second game, but it was the second game of back-to-back nights. We beat last year's Vezina and Hart winner on Friday in Connor Hellebuck, and we looked real good. And the thing, too, is, previous weeks we've been talking about it. It's looked like every win was going to have to be us scoring 5 or 6 goals to even have a hope of winning. And now we're scoring 2 or 3. The goalies are giving up 1 or 2. This might be the start of something special. Now, I want to reserve some excitement because I've been talking a lot about it. One more high draft pick. I think that's really all we need is one more in that top 8 to 10. And the way we're playing right now is exciting. It's, dare I say it, playoff quality hockey. But I really want one more high draft pick. And so finishing 8th to last in the league or something like that would be perfect. That would still put us in line for one of the top 3 right shot defensemen in this draft, which is strong, at least in the first round on right shot defensemen. So we might be okay anyway. But flip side of me got real spoiled on a lot of years of playoff hockey and knows that when the Sharks are winning, the tank is full. You've heard me say it on previous episodes. That place is different when it's full. And players are already starting to notice it. Like, it's not full, but it's better than what it's been the last couple seasons because there's an excitement and it's palpable. You've got kids that are playing amazing hockey. You've got vets that are slotting into what they need to be for this team. You've got goalies that are figuring out what they need to be. You've got a coach that everybody shit on that's slowly figuring out how to best implement these guys. I will tell you, to a person, it doesn't matter. To whoever's listening, it's important that you understand that the second half of the second period against the Winnipeg Jets might be the best period, or partial period anyway, of hockey that I've seen the Sharks play in, I don't know, 6 years, 8 years. I can't even guarantee that they played a half period that good in their Stanley Cup run in 2019. Like, they were buzzing. They were all over the place, up in the offensive zone, pressuring Winnipeg's defenders, not letting them get it out of the zone. It was such a good example of what these guys can be. And I know I pitched it a couple episodes ago about the all gas, no brakes, but if they do it right, they can legitimately be successful by employing that tactic of all gas, no brakes, because they've got the legs to do it. They're young. They can move. They can get on you quickly. And, that style of play is going to concede some goals. We're going to give up chances. The guys in net can't be perfect all the time. But it's going to create more chances than it gives up. Not everybody on every other team's an all-star, and you're going to make guys, and even all-stars make mistakes, but you're going to make guys make mistakes by playing the way that we're playing when we're going that way. Um, you know, the reason that I know this isn't a full turn, like we beat Florida and we looked mostly good doing it, but they definitely exerted their will in the second and third periods, and that's okay. Like, it's also nice to be able to look at it after the fact and realize that not only did they exert their will, but we withstood that pressure. That wasn't the case earlier in the season, so that in and of itself is a big step. But yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss now because going into the season, I was like, you know what, it's going to be another dud. It's going to be fun to watch, but we're not going to be good. Another high draft pick, super high probably. Um, we're going to get that one last player that we need. Everything's going to be great. And now it's like, well, maybe we should start thinking about it. But then, you look at the division we're in, and I don't know that Anaheim can continue to be as good as they are currently playing. Basically, Quenville always gets the best out of his teams, and we knew that was coming, and he probably still shouldn't be in the league, but that's not my argument to have. But they look really good, and they're leading the Pacific Division. Like, who would have thought at any point, even after the first game of the season, the Ducks would be leading the Pacific Division? And so they're leading the Pacific. We're in fourth in the Pacific. You've got the two-time Stanley Cup finalists in second to last place in the division. Like, so they have to come up. They can't play like that forever. There's far too much talent on that team to not get across the line and get into playoff contention at the very least. The Kings aren't playing the way that they're capable of, although they had arguably the worst offseason in the history of sport. So who knows? Maybe they will fall off a cliff this year. But I think what I'm realizing is, it's ahead of schedule, but it's okay to dream. I don't know if they're going to be able to maintain the pace, but it's going to be a fun ride watching it. Mack's on a tear in that game against Winnipeg, gets hit in the face with a stick. Somehow our power play doesn't get a goal on a 4-minute power play, which is something that obviously happens all the time, but you just felt like the way the team was clicking at that point, you felt something was coming and it just didn't, but then it did. And Mack gets that goal minus half of a couple teeth, and it's just the kind of play that it's the kind of play that superstars make. And it didn't look like a lot, right? Like, he is dancing around at the blue line, realizes we're about to get the puck, and turns and goes, which already is a smart play. Now, another thing is we didn't really have the guys in the past that were going to be able to hit him with that puck if he started going, but gets hit with the puck pretty much in stride, takes the offensive blue line, and is coming in, and Morrissey, who's no slouch, is up alongside him and probably gets away with a one-handed slash. But not only does that, dips, somehow Mack finds a way to dip his shoulder as if he's about to shoot, which gets Hellebuck to bite, and then dekes to the right side of the net and puts it in like nobody was even there. And it's just like, it's not a play that a 19-year-old kid makes, not at the NHL level anyway. Like, that's a play that maybe a kid makes, when he's 12 years old against other 12-year-olds. Man, it was such a good play, such a good play. And then the goal that ends up winning it for Will Smith, like, it's the puck coming towards the net and guys doing what several teams prior to this haven't done a good job of, which is going to the net. Like, there were guys at the net, Mack takes a shot, kind of lays on the red line, Smith cleans it up. They're in the right place at the right time. And I think, that's just such a huge jump from where things were. And so, like, seeing those types of progression is what gets you to realize that we're not that far away. And as much as I've been saying for 2-ish years that by 27, 28 season at the latest, I figured we were back in the playoffs and maybe even back in the playoffs and winning a round or two. I don't know. We might be ahead of schedule. Um, and that's exciting and terrifying and fun, and it's all the right guys doing it. And I read something the other day, and I've said a lot about the atmosphere in the tank and what that means and why it sets it apart, and why I think that we as fans had a lot to do with how good the team was for a really long time. And I still think all of those things are true. But somebody said the other day, and I really hung on to this, is that the goal can't be to make the same emotional experience, excuse me, for the players that we had in the 2000s and 2010s. That can't be the goal. That was a very unique time with a very unique team that carried throughout that time period. It started with Joe and Patty, and it finished with Joe and Patty. It's an atmosphere that is completely unique to those teams. Because even thinking back about it, back on it, like in the 90s when we hit those few playoff runs, like that was a different experience than it was once Joe and Patty made it a regular thing. And so, I think it's important that this is our own thing. And I think the thing that changes is belief, really. Like in the 2000s and 2010s, like we knew we were good, but there was also that feeling of, well, we're the Sharks. This is just going to happen the same way it always happens. And, 2016 sneaks up on us and we get all the way to the finals. But then is anybody surprised that at that point we don't win? Not really. Like that's the Sharks playbook, right? Well, maybe this new aura, this new mindset around the team is to not be accepting of that anymore. And I think that we have, a unique team, but a unique player specifically that is capable of making that happen. And here's why. So the more and more I see Mack play, the more and more I see how he is on the ice, on the bench, in interviews, all those things, it becomes crystal clear that he did get to spend time with the Warriors when they were getting good. Like his dad clearly took him around because he has certain mentality characteristics that I think just are super in line with what the Warriors were when they were at their best. To me, he is our Steph Curry. Like he's obviously supremely talented to a point that it's almost unfair to the people that are playing against him. He's super driven to win. Like he doesn't like losing, but at the same time, and this is key to me, and this is something that Joe Thornton had also, is that as important as winning is, at the end of the day, it's still a game and it's still fun. And you can see how much fun Mack has playing hockey for a living. And I don't think that all players do a good job of showing that. But it's important also that as much fun as he has playing hockey, you can tell how much he hates to lose. And when you combine those two things and the immense amount of talent he has, like he's just going to carry the team to greatness. He is going to drag them kicking and screaming if he needs to get them to greatness. And so it's funny because I remember last season, there's a lot of fun hockey. It's his rookie year. He's getting points. The team's more fun to watch. And there were statements a lot where it looked like, or where people thought it looked like he wasn't taking things seriously. Like he was just out there to have fun. He didn't care about winning or losing. And I think that's the furthest thing from the truth. And I think we're finally seeing it this year. And I think the reason you didn't see it last year is it was his rookie year. Like he's just trying to get used to the day to day of being an NHL player. He's trying to get past the reality of playing against guys he's grown up watching for years, right? Well, now he's past that. Like he's done a year of being around that. Like he doesn't have to be in awe of other players anymore. He is the player to be in awe of. And so as you see him mentally make that transition and that transformation, you're seeing this growth that's just exponential. And the best part about it is it's rubbing off on other players, especially other young players. Like, I'm at a point now that if Forsovsky ever decides to break up Celebrini and Smith on their line, that may be the first fireable offense he gets to, just because you can tell how good they are for each other and how they know where each other's going to be. But like that mentality, that excitement, that fun loving nature with a killer mentality, if he keeps carrying that, and you can see absolutely clear as day how much Will hates losing, and loves winning. But if they can get Michael Misa in that same way, Eklund's already there. You can tell how much he hates it when they lose, especially because like when you're losing and you're bad, it's not as terrible. But when you're losing and the talent's there to win, that's when it starts to get truly frustrating. And so I think that's what's interesting about this season is they're still fun to watch and they're winning games, which is great. But the bigger thing to me is the frustration they have when they lose. Like, as young as they are, you feel like they shouldn't know that they're good enough to be competing yet, but they do. And each of these wins that builds up, I mean, you're talking New Jersey, Colorado, Winnipeg, Florida. Like, those are 4 teams that have been solid for a decently long time, and 4 teams that are picked as possibilities for making the Stanley Cup final, if not winning the whole thing. And they beat all 4 of those teams, and success breeds confidence, and you're seeing it play itself out on the ice. And I don't know, it's just so exciting and so cool, and it's a different kind of appreciation than I had when I was younger and the team was good, because you're seeing a plan in place and a plan working, which is why GMMG, he's got a couple moves left, and I don't know what they're going to be, but they're coming, and they're going to be huge because he hasn't missed a step yet. Everything he's done has been to execute a plan, and he's done it nearly flawlessly. And so, like, even the trades you look back on where you think that they were bad, like, they were bad for him. Like, they were bad in comparison to his other trades. Like, for most GMs, they're normal trades or they're normal moves. But it's just like he's pulling all the right strings. And so something's coming. And like, I'm in that, again, going back to wanting the draft pick. Like, I hope that he's not making moves leading up to the deadline to try to make the playoffs this year. But if he does, then I think we're probably 2 years ahead of schedule, because if he decides that it's the right time to make moves to get to the playoffs, then he legitimately thinks that we're good enough to not only get to the playoffs, but do some damage. And so, and if that's the case, then you know that he knows that we need a right shot defenseman that can play top pairing minutes. He knows that. And so if he's making moves to bolster the team towards the playoffs, he's not making moves for third line center. Like, as far as I'm concerned, we've already got that tied up, right? He's not making moves for fourth line winger, because like, that's what teams do as they're getting to the playoffs. They make those depth moves. If he makes a move between now and the end of the season with the intent of pushing towards the playoffs, it's going to be a move to improve the weaknesses that we still have, which really is right shot defenseman, like system wide. The defense as a whole, although they're playing a lot better, like, the best parts of that defense are still very young, and we've got a couple of years until we really cross into what they're capable of. But he's not going to make a trade for a really good penalty killer like that. I mean, he might also do that, but that's not going to be the goal of his trades. It's going one of 2 ways. He's either going to put a piece in place that's going to get us across the line into the playoffs and be good for us in the future going forward, or he's not going to tear it down, but he's going to sell off the parts that are probably going to leave at the end of the season anyway for extra picks to continue to bolster the system. Because as we get closer to this level of success, the guys that are in the AHL right now, the guys that are still in juniors right now that are looked at as part of the future, like, those guys eventually have to graduate into the league. And if they are graduating into the league, then something else needs to drop into the AHL, especially because I think there's some sort of limit on quote unquote overagers you can have in the AHL. I don't know where those guys go after that, if they just go to Europe or they go to the ECHL or what it is, but there's only so many guys that you can have at some age or older. And so you know that his plan is going to be continued success. It's not going to be, let's get San Jose the first Stanley Cup. It's, let's make San Jose a dynasty. And that's really like weird to say, but absolutely true. And I think we might be seeing the first steps on that pyramid are happening now. Like before, it was trying to find the pyramid. Well, now we found the pyramid, and how do we get up those steps? And currently, we're making those strides. Like every facet of the game is better than we've seen in a long time, and systems are in place and working. And when systems aren't working, they're changed into something that hopefully starts working. Like it's not just, this has worked for me forever, so we're going to keep doing it. I can't say enough about how the switch from the 1-1-3 forecheck to the 2-1-2 forecheck has changed the complete dynamic of what San Jose hockey is about. Our speed when going full bore in that 2-1-2 setup is suffocating. And it's, man, that one little detail, right? Like that one little detail completely changes who we are as a team. And that's so freaking cool. Yeah, anyways, I'm just pumped. And it's Monday night. It's Monday night, November 10th. And so it was also the Hall of Fame induction today, or this evening, I guess. The first, what I would call true Shark making it into the Hall of Fame, the first player to go in as a Shark. I guess it's not like baseball. They don't get to wear their hat or whatever. But Joe Thornton was inducted this evening, and nobody could be more deserving. That guy is, he was just different. He was one of the best players I've ever had the good fortune of watching. As much as I love Patrick Marleau, and Patrick Marleau is my favorite Sharks player of all time, Joe Thornton is so unfairly the best player that has ever played for the San Jose Sharks in every aspect of the game. So good. The best passer I may ever see play. And he had, still continues to have, I guess, some of those aspects that I talked about Macklin with earlier, which is like just super tenacious and hates losing, but also has so much fun playing hockey. And so it almost makes it perfect that Macklin's living with the Thorntons, because it just, like, that's what you want out of your leader. And I can't wait, and I don't think Joe can wait either, to see Macklin have that growth and turn into who he's really going to be. Like, he's still only 19 years old. Like, wait till the kid's 23, 24, 25 and really has his voice to add to all those other parts. I know that everybody says that he's the future captain of this team, but there's no way that it can be anybody else. Like, there's nobody that you can bring in that's going to have the ability to lift the room in the way that Mack does. And our best years in Teal, for the most part, were with either Jumbo or Little Joe as the captain. And they possess those same qualities that Mack possesses now. And so, to me, it's just that next step of growth as a franchise is having that guy to sort of take that mantle that's been missing for a little bit. Because like Couture, as good as a captain as he was, like, you couldn't necessarily tell that he was having fun. Like, he hated to lose, that's for sure. But I don't know that I was ever able to tell that he was having fun playing hockey. And so seeing that back in the building is super, super exciting. But anyway, Joe, congratulations. Nobody more deserving. So excited that you got to be the first Shark to be in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, Marlowe's my favorite player. He got to get his number retired first, so it works. Both of you got big firsts for the team, and no two players could be more deserving. But you're a legend. You are a true beauty, and I don't know if that's a term that I would know if Joe Thornton didn't play for my team. He not only exemplifies the word, but so freely used it about different players that There's no better word for it. He is his own thing and just so special to the Sharks franchise and so special to the past of the Sharks franchise, but now as a player development coach, that I feel like that position's only going to grow for him. Like, he's equally important to the future. And I hope in my heart of hearts that Thornton and Marlowe, amongst others, because obviously there are other guys still with the organization, your Nabokovs and Ricci's and stuff like that. I really hope that they get the opportunity to be around and be part of the staff and be able to lift the cup when we finally win, because it's coming, maybe sooner than we all think. Yeah. So that was the week or weekend, week to weekend. It's been a busy few days. It's been an exciting few days. We've done a lot of really great things. We are going to continue to do a lot of really great things. And whether we make the playoffs or don't make the playoffs, the strides we've already made in this season so far are going to be the pillars that hold up the future of the franchise, and we should all be excited about it. And we can hope for whatever it is. We can hope to make the playoffs. We can hope for another high draft pick. I can tell you, I don't think there's any way that we finish last in the league, which is kind of where we were predicted to be at the start of the season. I think that in order for us to get a Keaton Verhoff or Gavin McKenna type player, we're going to have to get lucky in the lottery, if there's any chance at all. But I think we should all be excited. And I think those of you that have the opportunity should be going to any game you can go to. I am super pumped to go see them up in Vegas and hopefully get a chance to come home and see them again soon. But what a time to be alive, man. It's so good and so fun and so exciting to be able to very clearly see what the future can look like. Yeah, I'm pumped. So hopefully this is the beginning of me staying on schedule. Hopefully this is the beginning of you getting episodes either on Monday or Tuesday each week, so that you can hear me dribble on about how great I think that we're doing, or how, oh my God, everything turned around. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Again, if you have any questions that you want answered, or if you have any thoughts on anything that I'm saying, which I'm sure you have plenty, it's okay to tell me what they are, even if they disagree with me. Please feel free to leave something down in the comments section. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Tell all your friends that there's some idiot that's talking about Sharks hockey. Yeah. And that's it for this week. Thanks, Shark Nation. It's good to be part of the club. The future is teal. And that's my view from outside the tank. Till next week. Take care.